Over the past 3 semesters at McDaniel College, I've noticed that relationships with campus security are not very good, if there is any at all. I wanted to know, why is this, and what can we do to strengthen this bond? Over the course of this podcast, I'll be interviewing people to get to the bottom of these relationships. First, I went to the source and interviewed the head of campus safety. Hi, I'm Jack McBride, and I'm here with
Kurt Dutton. I'm the Deputy Director of Campus Safety at McDaniel College.
And can you give me a little more about your job title and what you do?
Sure. As the Deputy Director, my primary responsibilities are to work with patrol and response for the college and to work with our reporting and student conduct system. Clery classification. Clery is a federal law managed by the Department of Education, and all colleges are responsible for Clery classifications on any incident involving student conduct. Came out of a law with a student that got murdered at a college in Pennsylvania, and that the parents sued, saying they weren't aware of the high crime rate in the area. And of course, they lost their daughter, and it was a tragedy. So it's an important part of our job, and we put out the annual security report every year, and we report our crime statistics, student conduct statistics. So that's a pretty important part of the job. Special events. Tomorrow, we get ready to host the big weekend here. Today is Thursday. Friday, we get ready for all of the activities that start on Saturday. We've got our final home football game, and we're playing Johns Hopkins. We expect a very large crowd. Hopkins usually comes with quite a few alumni and quite a few students. Hopkins is looking at winning the conference if they win the game, and they're looking at tying to win the conference even if they lose the game. So we're expecting quite a large crowd. Of course, we're hopeful that the Green Terror does great as well, and we hope for a win. But we certainly have to plan for the event, so we're planning for a very large crowd. Weather looks like it's going to be good, mid-50s, nice fall football game. But we're also hosting the NCAA tournament for ladies soccer. And we're expecting quite a few schools for the first round of the games on Saturday, and that's going to happen at the same time as our football game. So we got to manage a large NCAA tournament starting at 11 o'clock in the morning, and our football game's at 12 o'clock. And so we're going to host that all day for soccer, and then we're going to have the final round here at McDaniel College on Sunday. So we got a busy weekend. So we do special events, we do graduations, commencements, move-ins, we do Clery classification for paperwork for the federal government, and reporting, response, anything we can do to help the students.
Wow, that's a lot. I didn't realize how much you all do. So what does campus security do to strengthen relationships with students and RAs?
Okay. That's a great question. So we've always worked with RAs, and we've always had a whole day that we spend with the RAs before the school year starts. So in August, we always do a whole day. We role play, we do skits, we role play student conduct incidents, like maybe underage drinking, or maybe an intoxicated student, maybe a dispute between roommates. So we role play, so we're the actors. They're the actors, because we've got a bunch of RAs, we've got a bunch of officers. So we spend the whole day together, and we role play different scenarios, and we role play RA response, and we role play campus safety officer response, and how we work together. So we do that every year, and we usually also do a fire pit thing and just hang out. Of course, COVID's changed a little bit of that with how much of us can be in a room role playing, but that's a historical thing we've been doing every year. And with the students, we started partnering. It's probably going on close to 4 years now with McDaniel Local, which was a great program. Erin Benevento, she runs the program. And she started it 3-4 years ago. We partnered with her immediately that first year. It was pre-COVID, a year or two before COVID. We had 3 McDaniel Local sessions. And McDaniel Local is basically what many colleges would just call orientation, first year orientation. You get to come to college and spend a night there in the summer before you actually move in August. And but we started a new concept that Erin's team put together with the first year team, and it was going to be much deeper than just spend the night at the college and get familiar with the college. It was going to be activities, it was going to be working together. really getting to know the campus. And we partnered immediately with them, and we met every student that came in. We met them in the parking lot when their parents dropped them off. Some students arrived on their own without parents. Some even from the Eastern Shore drove across the Bay Bridge without parents and parked their car, but we helped them with their luggage, and we took them to the check-in, and we used our cart to shuttle people while peer mentors were using the golf carts to shuttle people. But so we were there at the very beginning, meeting them in the parking lot and meeting them in check-in. And the next year, I think we had like 7 McDaniel local sessions. And the next year we had 9.
Wow.
And it ended up being like 60 kids per session, and we covered like all 500 and some, almost 600 students in the entering class, because the last 2 or 3 entering classes have been our biggest classes in history. Significantly bigger than we've ever had. So it was just a great chance to meet the students at the beginning, and then we worked with them on some of the projects. So down at the farm, we'd go down to the farm and we'd help plant trees. We'd take our ATV down to the farm and we'd drive around to where the students were doing different work projects and planting trees or what have you, and we helped with that. And so we'd meet them out there. We did projects up at GLAR at the dining hall working with the chefs, and we made taco salads, and so we'd all be mixed into the different groups, slicing tomatoes and making pico de gallo. And making guacamole, we were all coring the avocados. So that was just a way to meet the first year students in the summer. And then of course, we meet them at move-in. Move-in, we set up the whole move-in and we run it with Residence Life. Of course, they're doing the keys and the rooms, and we're doing direction, and we're right there with everybody else. It's a partnership. So it starts at the beginning. It starts at summer. It starts at Parent Day and Admission Day. And I went to the last admission day we had in person before COVID with my own son, who was an admitted student. And then we canceled the second one because of COVID. That was back in March of 2020. I think March 5th. So we started the admission day. We started the admission events, and we rolled through McDaniel Local. We rolled through Move-In. And I'll tell you what, it's generated a lot more work for us because it's generated more reports, because people are more likely to talk to us. So they call us. So it's a win-win. So I think Aaron Benevento and the first-year team, they're just brilliant, and Tommy and the whole gang up there, they're just fantastic people in academic life, campus life side, and we're just in with all of them. And so it's a great working relationship, and it really works for outreach. So
that's amazing. Do you think last year, the year with COVID, has affected how some students have relationships with campus security because they had to be a little bit tougher on mask mandates and everything?
COVID certainly changed the way everybody did business. I think none of us expected in March of 2020 that when we went on spring break, we wouldn't come back from spring break. Of course, campus safety was here. We never left. So we were still here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week throughout all of COVID. I know some folks went virtual. Classes, of course, went virtual. And it definitely had an impact on student life. It had an impact on our way of doing business, not so much 2020 spring semester, because the students didn't come back from spring break. Of course, it affected us with not having a commencement in May of 2020. Commencement is a huge event for us, and we plan for months on commencement, and we look forward to it, and senior week, and so forth. So a real change there for student life in particular, but a real change for how we view our year from move-in through commencement, that all changed. We front-loaded at the beginning of COVID, where actually, even before we knew what was really coming, we had been ordering additional gloves, additional medical supplies. We've always done that because we need that as first responders. And fortunately, we had some of those orders in before the whole world knew about COVID, and you couldn't buy a mask, you couldn't buy a rubber glove. So we got all that, and we ordered partitions for our vehicles so we could safely transport students if we needed to, because we still had people on campus, just most weren't on campus. But some folks live here year-round. And we have to tend to, the population on campus. So we ordered partitions, and masks were tough to come by, but the health department, we partnered with them immediately, and we were on daily calls twice a day with the health department. I did that, and our director partnered with the public health officer, separate from our daily calls twice a day through COVID. The mask mandate stuff, I haven't forgotten that part of your question. It's a great question. That really came into play in fall of 2020 when we came back onto campus, and most classes were going to be virtual with some in-person options, mostly for first years. But some of the upper level classes with labs or something might have a personal component, or the professors could hold small little group meetings for classes that were virtual. But students were allowed back on campus. So we had a full campus with a full move-in, including for first years. And but the residence halls didn't allow any guests. Students couldn't even have a guest from the room next door in their room next door. This year, of course, as you know, students are permitted as guests in any of the residence halls. Non-students are not permitted as guests in the residence halls. But a commuter student can be a guest inside a residence hall, and a student from Whiteford can go visit a friend in Rouser this year. But that wasn't permitted in fall of 2020 or spring of 2021. So we didn't set out to be the mask police, and we didn't want to be the mask police, and nobody wants to be the mask police. But really the decision was made by leadership at the college that in order to undertake this grand experiment of moving the students back to campus, which a lot of colleges didn't do a year ago, and to have in-person classes for the first years, and to not go virtual for the first years. We were going in person. We reduced the class size. We ourselves on the overnight shift were the ones that moved the desk out of the classrooms, and then we stored them in the empty mall down the street, physical plant, contract with trucking services, and moved all that down there. But we prepared for in-person with this grand experiment during the heart of COVID. And leadership at the college wanted that experience for students to be in person, to live here, especially for first years to be able to attend classes in person. And upper class students still could do their labs in person and breakout sessions. They really believed in the experience, and especially for the first years. But it was going to be an experiment. Other schools were shutting down. They were sending kids home. They brought them back and had to send them home. So leadership wanted to make this a success and make it work. So it wasn't just campus safety that became the mask police. The whole college became the mask police. We had graduate assistants that were working in the dining hall and patrolling the student center to meet with students and just, hey, reminder, put your mask on. So we can all keep this thing going. Sometimes we had to be the one to write the report that it was a failure to comply with the campus restriction. And we don't deal out the consequences. We just document the report that we received a complaint of somebody not complying with the mask restriction. And we just write the report, and we classify it as failure to comply campus restriction. Everybody knew what the rules were to try and keep this grand experiment working successfully and maintain the health of our students, which fortunately we've been able to do. And we're very happy about that. So sometimes, yes, we were put in the place of dorm rooms and parties and campus parties that had students that weren't residents of that campus house, or off-campus parties that had large groups of students not complying with the campus restrictions that prohibited parties. So all we did was write the report, and whatever the consequences were, that was dealt with by the student conduct process. So it wasn't anything we sought out. It wasn't something we wanted to do. We certainly weren't heavy-handed with it. If somebody truly were drinking from a water bottle and they took their mask off at the library to have a drink from a water bottle, we weren't going. That was a permissible removing of the mask. So yeah, it was challenging, and certainly not something any of us wanted to be involved in, but the whole campus community was involved in it. And so we maintained the health of the students. I think we did it fairly and even-handedly and not heavy-handed. I think everybody understood. Certainly today you can see there's opposition to mask mandates, and there's others that want more mask mandates. So it's a political issue, it's a belief issue. There are some folks that have exemptions on campus, and that's granted by a different department that reviews each request for an exemption, and the college respects that if they grant it. And it's a complicated issue, and it's worldwide right now. But I think at McDaniel, thanks to the student body, the faculty, staff, I think we've navigated it together as a family, and I think we've succeeded. We've kept all this open and running, and we've been able to release a lot of the restrictions this year, and I think everybody's very happy about that, and I hope we can keep it going, and most importantly, I hope everybody stays healthy. So, all right, long-winded answer, but it was an important question. That was a great question.
Thank you. What do you think students can do to strengthen campus security relations?
Well, I think we try to start that at the very beginning, and I think everybody brings their own background, knowledge, skill, ability, history, perception with them. I think we try to show who we are, and we start that at the very beginning of the process, and we just hope that the student community will understand that's who we are. We're not here to police the students. We view it as we're a family together for 4 years. So just like some families have very difficult Thanksgivings, and maybe it's because of their political beliefs, and somebody's going to say something at the table that's going to upset others. That's not our goal to upset anybody. It's just we're a family, and we're together through difficult times, through challenging circumstances. And we want the students to always know to call us. We're fair. We're friendly. We're truly here to help. We're here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're here for escorts. We're here for safety. We're here to help a friend that's sick. Call us. This is what we do every day. So there's nothing that anybody can call us and tell us that's going to embarrass us or embarrass them, because that's what we're here for. And we're here to help. So just trust that we're here to help. And sometimes there's consequences. And it doesn't mean we're bad guys. We're nice, we're friendly, and we're here to help. But sometimes some conduct is going to result in consequences, but we just expect a little personal responsibility, and it works. There's been some folks that we've had numerous conduct contacts with over their 4 years on campus, but we're all still friends. So, because it's just business, so if something happens and we've got to interview you about something, just be honest. We're not bad guys. We're just here to do a job, keep everybody getting along well together, help out in difficult circumstances, and that's our role, and we're happy to do it, and just trust the process, and trust that we wouldn't be here if we didn't want to help.
If there's anything you wanted to tell the students, what would you want to tell them about campus security?
What I just said. We really would not be here if we didn't want to help. So this is a very unique, job. It's a very unique occupation. We believe in helping, and many of us are parents, and many of us have college-age children. And I think we bring that perspective with us, that we understand. So it's not that we don't get it. We don't get it from the 18 to 22-year-old perspective, but we get it from the perspective of we were 18 to 22, but many of us are parents of 18 to 22-year-olds. And so we get it and we understand. So we're not here to be an impediment. We're here to be a help. And we're here to help in difficult times, and we even partner with whatever's going on, like projects like this, like with athletics. I think I've been photographed a few times by some of the sports teams on some of their, what do you call those? They've got to go out and do different projects and photograph a campus safety person doing something, whatever. I think I've been photographed a couple times by volleyball, having to learn how to do a dig or a spike with the ball. I don't even know. And it's pretty hard to teach me how to do some of that stuff. But so we're just here to help, and we're a family for 4 years together, faculty, staff, students, and just call us if you need anything.
And then lastly, how do you feel the overall relationship is with the students? Like good wise overall?
I think it's great. I really do. We work with people that at this time in their lives, we work with them in some of the most difficult things they've ever encountered thus far in their life, and maybe some of the things that will be the most difficult thing they'll ever encounter in their life. And I know that's challenging and that's difficult, but if we're honest and we're fair, and I think the relationship's great. I mean, there's some things, sometimes you can never do enough to change a perspective, but I think through our actions and through our words, I think we do the most we possibly can, and I think we've turned the students into believers. I mean, they call under the most difficult circumstances, and we're there in a minute. And I think that proves, our relationship, and the fact that they will call is what we want. I graduated from the University of Maryland, College Park in 1986. December of 1986, not May of 1986. I was taking summer classes in summer of 1986, and I took a couple classes in fall of 1986. That summer, Len Bias died. He was our star basketball player that had just been drafted by the Celtics in the NBA draft, and he died that summer of 1986, and the students didn't call. When he needed help from his overdose, they didn't call because they were afraid about consequences for themselves. And and that's something I'll never forget. And that's a tragedy. We don't want folks to ever be afraid to call us and ever be afraid of consequences. We've got amnesty, we've got medical amnesty. We're just here to help. We're not here to punish. So we want to save lives. We want to save everybody. So just trust in the process, trust in us, and we're just here to help, and we're just glad they call.
After interviewing campus safety, I wanted to get the opinion of the students on campus, so I interviewed a student named John Giannetti. Hello, I'm Jack McBride, and I'm here with
John Giannetti, class of 2024.
How would you describe your relationship with campus security?
I would say it's all right. I wouldn't go over the top and say, I have a great relationship with them. I'm friendly with a few of them when I see them, but other than that, it's pretty standard.
Would you say you're comfortable with calling campus security?
It depends on the severity of the event. So, obviously, if someone's severely injured, I've got to call them because that's the right thing to do. But I couldn't say that I feel comfortable for too much.
Would you say the COVID year has affected your relationship with campus security?
I definitely would. I saw them a lot more last year, but it was mostly them just mandating people to, separate and put masks on and all that other stuff that we had to do. But this year I don't really see them as much, unless they're closing buildings that I'm in.
What would you say that campus security does well?
I think they look out for the interest of the students very well. I think that they try to, keep people on the right side and, not let themselves get into trouble.
What would you say they don't do very well?
They don't really take care of small drugs like weed very well. A lot of people on campus smoke, and you can smell it, but they don't really take care of that all that well.
What do you think campus security can do to strengthen relationships with students?
I think they could definitely be here without their uniforms on if they can, at events and stuff, talks to the kids and, just kind of create a bond away from my job is to make sure you're not doing anything out of line or against the rules, All
right. Thank you for meeting with me.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
After the interview with John, I wanted to interview an RA on campus to get a full scope of these relationships. I interviewed an RA on campus, and they asked if they could keep their identity concealed because of the way they answered their questions. I will go on by reading my questions, followed by the RA's answers. As an RA on campus, how is your relationship with campus security? I feel although my relationship with campus security is better than it was before, I did not have much of a relationship with them last year. This year, campus security reached out to us. We met with them and created connections with them. I feel they do a lot behind the scenes for us as they help us solve situations we cannot handle on our own. Some things, though, are hard when we see campus safety not enforcing rules that RAs have to. This promotes miscommunication and has residents say, "I've done that before in front of campus safety," and they did not care. That is something I feel campus security should be supporting RAs and helping enforce the same rules as RAs. Do you think the COVID year has affected the relationship between campus safety and the students? This question is difficult to answer because students last year were forced to be isolated and have little interactions. Because of how strict things were on campus, I feel campus safety as well as RAs became the bad guys for enforcing the rules and promoting safety. I think this year, campus safety is trying to make sure that residents see them as a friendly face this year rather than someone who enforces rules. Do you feel campus security is doing enough to keep relationships with RAs good? Specifically, this semester, I feel with the RAs, they have made an effort to have a relationship with us and make us feel like we are supported and if we need anything, to reach out to them. Overall, I found out a lot about campus security and what they do to strengthen relationships with students. I also found out that most students actually have an okay relationship with campus security.